Welcome to Panels and Borders. I'm Dominic. Now in this video, I'm going to talk about two things. I'm going to kind of give a quick talk about the new Star Wars trailer, Rise of Skywalker. Now this is the final trailer before the movie comes out. So this, I woke up this morning and there was videos like out the Yahoo about this trailer. So I watched the trailer a couple times and I kind of wanted to do a video on it, kind of didn't, was kind of on the fence, so kind of had another idea for a video, so I was kind of combined the two. So this is a combination of my reaction and the other video I was going to do. I just combined them both together. So watched the trailer and I really didn't have any reaction. It was just like kind of run-of-the-mill. There was nothing in there that really surprised me. Honestly, I'm not excited for the new Star Wars movie. Not really interested in seeing it. Interested enough that I watched the trailer, but there was nothing in the trailer that made me want to go see the movie or made me excited to go see the movie. I'm at the point now where if the movie's spoiled for me, I don't care. For me now, the interesting thing about Star Wars is channels that talk about Star Wars. I find the channels that talk about Star Wars more interesting than the movies themselves now. That's at this point. I know that's kind of an odd thing, but that's how I feel. That's the honest truth. So I had no reaction. It was a non-reaction to the trailer. But then I was thinking about it. I kind of was going through Twitter, and a lot of people were talking about how bad it was, or it was what it was expected because of all the plot leaks and stuff. A lot of plot leaks have been confirmed. They're saying this is bad news for the movie and stuff like that. So I want to talk about, there's more to science fiction and there's more out there than Star Wars. So the two things that people really talk about, I find on YouTube now when it comes to science fiction, is a lot of people are talking about Star Trek and Star Wars, and basically about how disappointed they are with the new Star Trek and Star Wars related shows and merchandise and stuff, and how they feel like these shows have basically turned their back on longtime fans, things like that. And for the most part, I do agree with a lot of that. Some of it I disagree with it, but a lot of it I do agree with it. I mean, just from my own personal point of view, I gave up on Discovery 2-3 episodes in season 2, and now from my point of view, maybe I'm wrong about it, seems like Star Wars is in a much worse position with fans than Star Trek. Star Trek, there still seems, even though people don't like Discovery, there still seems to be some goodwill left towards Star Trek. Like, a lot of people are excited about new Picard series. That's getting a lot of positive buzz. Whereas Star Wars, it's like getting a lot more of a backlash. A lot more fans, Star Wars fans, have turned their back on that franchise than what Star Trek fans have for Star Trek. But there's a lot of good science fiction out there that a lot of people just don't talk about. Some channels kind of casually mention it here and there, but nobody really talks about it. And so that's the other part of this video, is I want to talk about some other really good science fiction that's on TV and in books and stuff that is not Star Trek and is not Star Wars. Like alternatives you can go to that is much better, in my opinion, than what the current state of Star Trek and Star Wars is. So the first one I'm going to talk about is The Expanse. Now, I haven't really talked about The Expanse. I don't know if I've talked about The Expanse at all on my channel. So I don't think anyone's really aware that I'm a fan of the series, anyone that watches my channel. So I'm currently reading book number 6 in the series. And in that picture there, yes, that is my bookshelf. And those are the 6 books I have, and that's a little model of the Rosinante there in that picture. And the other thing, I'm just over halfway through season 3. So I wanted to talk about this series for a little bit, and this is a series, like, it's really good and no one really talks about it on YouTube. There's a few other channels that mention it, but I haven't really seen a channel that really goes into this series and really praises it up for why it's good. So one of the reasons why I think people should read the books and even give the series a watch, because the series is really good too, is what I find kind of unique about the Expanse is, now I'll use Star Trek to kind of highlight the points I want to make about the Expanse. So in Star Trek, when you start watching, even right out the gate with the original series, like they already have warp drive, they've already been in contact with alien races for a very long time. And so it's, to them, it's just an everyday thing that their ships have warp power and there's all these aliens and stuff like that. And so a lot of science fiction kind of follow that. Like Star Wars, they already have hyperdrive, there's already aliens in it. Same thing with Babylon 5 and a lot of those other ones like that. But there's not a lot of science fiction shows that go into the question of that goes into that timeline. Okay, here's humanity just before they have faster than light travel, and they've met an alien intelligence. And what I like about the Expanse is it's kind of like, well, what if Star Trek? See, the history of Star Trek, it seems like they made this really fast leap with their technology. So you had like the Third World War that devastated Earth, and then you had a few scattered survivors here and there, and then Zephyr Cochrane in this little camp in the Montana hills creates the first warp ship. And then because of that, his first flight, Vulcans notice Earth to come and visit, and that's first contact. And then from there, it just seems like in a very rapid pace. From there, it just goes bang right into they're exploring the galaxy. First warp ships and with the Warp 5 and all that. But what I find Star Trek never did explore, and they didn't do it in First Contact. They could have done it in Enterprise, but they really didn't do it there either, because First Contact was already in the past, even of that show. Is what kind of what would be the ramifications of faster than light travel on a civilization when they first get it, and what would be the ramifications of, like, socially and politically and stuff of those technologies. And then on top of discovering that you can now go outside of the solar system and go to other planets in the galaxy, what would be the fallout politically and socially of making first contact with an alien intelligence? So that's something that's never been explored in Star Trek. Like, it's never really explored. Like, we kind of know what the consequences of warp travel is, right? Well, we know what the consequences is because we've seen it. We hear about it with the original series Next Generation. They talk about once man was able to go faster than light and realized there was other life out there, then all of a sudden the consequences of that was the Earth was made a utopia and humanity was united in a way it never was before, and basically Earth was turned into a paradise. And then this message went out with all the new races they met, and then they formed the Federation planets and all this kind of thing. But we never really examined, like, right at that point, what would have been the ramifications, like, very early on. Yes, that was the ultimate outcome of it, but what would be the ramifications, like, socially and politically? Would there have been people who would resisted this technology going, at warp speeds, and would people have been resistant to the idea of alien races? And what would early people have thought about the Vulcans first contacting Earth and all that kind of stuff, which has never been dealt with in Star Trek. So what I like about the Expanse is, basically, to use Star Trek terms, they're a pre-warp civilization. Humanity is, like, still in a pre-warp civilization, but their drives are fast enough that they have populated our own solar system has been populated. So you have, like, the Belters that have bases and colonies out on asteroids and out on some of the moons of Jupiter. And then you have the inner planets of Earth and Mars. And Mars is has its own independent government, and it's its own independent planet that broke away from Earth. And but they're right on the cusp of becoming like Star Trek, I guess, having that huge leap forward with technology. So the series, now spoilers if you haven't read any of the books or watched the series. So in the series, they have first contact with alien life form that is very alien to humans. They don't understand this thing at all, the proto-molecule. Not only that, because of the proto-molecule, the galaxy now is opened up to them, because it's created a gate. that now they can now leave. They have the ability to actually leave the solar system, and in essence, this gate creates kind of like a wormhole that gives them basically the ability for their ships to go faster than light. So now they can go to all these other planets have been opened up to them, and with that, there might be more gates out there, and now they're starting to reverse engineer the technology to advance their own ships and things like that. So what I like about the series is the series deals with the fallout of those two things, having faster than light travel and first contact. And that's basically what the show's about. And in my opinion, it's all about what is the political fallout of that, and what is the social and like cultural fallout of that. Like, what impact would that have on society? So that's why I really like it, because it's examining something in science fiction that hasn't really been examined a lot. It's something that's kind of taken for granted. It's just kind of thrown in there, like, okay, well, we've got warp drive, that just drives the story to get us to the next planet and stuff like that. But no one's really explored the ramifications that would have on a society when you first develop that technology, and kind of like the growing pains a society would have, or a civilization would have to go through when they first get technology that is that would like change their civilization, which obviously faster than light travel would. So that's another one, and that's why I think it's a great alternative to Star Trek and Star Wars, and nobody talks about it. And it's something I think I might talk about more on my channel, is The Expanse. Now, obviously, the next big one that I'm really excited for is Dune, the new Dune movie that's coming out in 2020 by director Denis Villeneuve. Another thing, there's not a lot of channels talking about this one either. All these channels are just stuck on complaining about Star Trek and Star Wars. No one's really talking about this, which I wish more channels would talk about it. Just so, like, I don't want this movie to come out and bomb because nobody knew it was coming out because everyone was too busy complaining about Star Wars and Star Trek. This is, really good director, really rooting for this movie. A huge fan of the book, read the book 4 times. I own the David Lynch version on DVD. I own the 2000 miniseries on DVD, along with Children of Dune on DVD. Have a big slew of Dune books. I have a few different versions of Frank Herbert's book in hardcover and stuff like that. So this is another movie that, like Star Wars, I got the last one, let's get it out of the way, it's done. You can only push that, you can only mine that franchise so much. And it gets to a point where there's nothing you can really do with it anymore. But Dune is something that hasn't really been mined, hasn't really been explored much outside of the books. And I think there's a lot of room for a movie, and then we're even going to get a TV series, The Sisterhood, which I'm really excited about. So this is another awesome science fiction that is, to me, is really good alternative to Star Wars and Star Trek. And then the next one is Isaac Asimov's Foundation. So Apple TV is doing a Foundation series, which is going to be a 10-episode series. So I guess it's going to be like a mini series. And so it's going to be, I don't know if they're going to do a 10-episode miniseries on just the first novel, and then do Foundation and Empire, and then do Second Foundation. They're going to do it that way, or it's going to be a long-running series. But if they do it like that, actually kind of like the idea of each book being just like a 10-episode miniseries. So you got the first 10 episodes covers the first book, the next 10 episodes covers the second book, and then it has a definite end, instead of just wringing every last bit of juice out of it. And so this is another science fiction series I'm really excited about. The novel was, if you've never read Isaac Asimov's Foundation trilogy, it's like really good, really well written classic science fiction. Like, it's one of those books you have to read. This is another series that I'm really excited about. It really delves into some really, really interesting ideas, like the idea of how long can a civilization go before it collapses, because every civilization has an end point, has a expiration date, where at some point it collapses due to corruption or natural disaster or whatever the case may be. And so that's what kind of like the books explore, is this galactic civilization that humanity has built, and now it's on the verge of collapse. And only one guy can really see it, Harry Seldon, and he takes measures to not stop it but shorten the misery that humanity is going to have to go through before it gets rebuilt. So this is another great another series I hope is done really well, and to me another great alternative to Star Wars and Star Trek. And another one that nobody talks about is Lost in Space. I've reviewed some of the episodes on my channel, and I've watched it, and it's a kind of a new spin on the old series, and I think they've done a very good job. I really thoroughly enjoy the story. I kind of like the twists and turns it's taking, and I like some of the twists on the characters. Now, I've recently heard it getting bashed on a channel and stuff, but I had to disagree with what the guy said on that channel about it. I really think some of the character twists are clever. Like, one of the twists they put on the characters I thought was really neat is the character of Dr. Smith. So in this one, Dr. Smith is in it, but very briefly, and he actually gets his identity stolen by this woman who is a criminal from Earth and basically poses as him, and that's how she gets on the colony ship. So I thought that was kind of a neat twist. And still another really good, good solid science fiction show that nobody's talking about, that I think should be talked about more and more people should watch. So that was basically my reaction to the Rise of Skywalker trailer, and just seeing all the videos that are out and all the videos that are, and I understand where they're coming from. Like, I'm not trying to take the moral high ground making this video. I understand that fans are frustrated with Star Wars, even though I've given up with Star Wars, but I went through that period of frustration because it's only because you like it so much and you want it to be good. You want good Star Wars. Nobody wants a terrible Star Wars movie, and so this is like the way people vent their frustrations with the direction that Disney has taken the new Star Wars films. But there are alternatives out there, and there is stuff that you can watch and enjoy and have fun with. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. Thank you to all of my subscribers, and thank you for watching this video. And if you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for notification when new videos are uploaded.